St. John's.
Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Out of the Fog. I'm your host, Laurabel. Well, we've got a great episode in store for you today. We're going to be talking a little bit about volunteerism, why it's important and what you can do, and we're also going to have a laugh or two for my guests today. So sit back, relax, and I can't wait for you to meet them. Welcome back, everyone. I'm now joined by Stephanie Abbott-Trahey, who is part of the Community Sector Council, and we're going to be talking about Volunteer Week. Stephanie, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
So I want our viewers to get to know who you are a little bit. So you work with the Community Sector Council. So what's your official role there?
Sure. I work with the CSC in Newfoundland and Labrador as a regional network facilitator.
Okay.
So part of my job is all about connecting people and finding ways to bring people together so that we can work together more efficiently and do more to bring about change in our communities.
So I like that you said it's about connecting people and bringing people together, which brings us to Volunteer Week. So Volunteer Week, what is the theme for Volunteer Week this year?
This year our theme is Volunteering Weaves Us Together, which really resonates with me personally because it's all about bringing people together who are from different ages, backgrounds, and cultures, and working together to work towards a common goal, which is always making our communities and our province a better place to be.
That's really fantastic to hear. So for our viewers watching right now, when is Volunteer Week?
Volunteer Week is coming up soon. It's going to be starting on April 16th and running right up until the 22nd of April.
Okay, that's super cool. I know there's going to be a lot going on, so I know we're going to stay tuned to what Community Sector Council is doing. But I want to talk a little bit about volunteerism as a whole. So when I was in high school, I know volunteerism was something that we had to do to graduate. It was something that 40 hours was mandatory. But I know there's more to volunteerism. So do you mind talking a little bit about why it's important and what kind of it means to community?
Yes, absolutely. So volunteering is so important to so many communities. We have volunteers all across our province who are doing such amazing things, from making sure that people have food, staying safe. We have a huge amount of volunteer first responders in our communities. I think we have almost 6,000 volunteer firefighters in our province right now. So we have volunteers of all different ages, backgrounds, who are contributing to making, like I said, our communities and our province better places to be. We really noticed during COVID, a lot of people just stepping up because they saw a need. People were hungry. People needed to be shoveled out in Snowmageddon, so we started to see more informal groups forming and people just wanting to be involved to help other people, which is always amazing to see. Even down to, I believe you have a lot of volunteers helping run this station, which is amazing. So there's very few people, I think, in our communities who aren't impacted by volunteers in some way, shape, or form. So I'm really grateful that we have the opportunity to say a big thank you to these people who are doing such amazing things in our province. And another thing that we really want to do is inspire more people to get involved. One of the things that we have been noticing coming out of a pandemic is that we're seeing a little bit of a decline in volunteerism in some places. So we want to first of all say a great big huge thank you to all the people who are doing such amazing things, and we also want to inspire more people to get involved in volunteering.
So that's really cool. So when people, let's say I'm a new person and I've like, hey, I want to give back and I want to volunteer, am I able to reach out to CSC to find out ways to connect to volunteer organizations?
You absolutely can.
Okay.
Definitely, yes. We have a space on our website where we list volunteer opportunities, but you can also reach us connect with us, and we can connect with you one-on-one to help try to find a good fit for whatever it is that you might be interested in. And that's one of the things that we've noticed helps volunteers be successful and make it part of your long-term life, is finding that something that you're really passionate and interested in, and that'll help it become part of your day-to-day life.
That's super great to hear. So, like, I know CSE has an office here for people who live in the Avalon region who want to get involved in volunteerism, but are there other offices so people can talk to someone in their community?
Yes, absolutely. So we do have staff working in the Burin Peninsula right now, and Gander as well, and we also have someone in the Northern Peninsula as well, and all of their contact information is on our website as well, and we're looking to add more people to different parts of the province as we progress. So
perfect. So since we're talking about Volunteer Week, and I'm assuming that you've been a volunteer previously in your life before.
Yes, I have. Yes.
Do you mind sharing your favorite volunteer experience?
Oh, sure. I volunteered a lot with the Spin for Kids program,
Okay.
which was all about raising funds to get kids active
Cool.
in the community. So I work in the fitness industry as well, so that's something that I've always been passionate about, and that's what volunteering really is great for, because you get to focus on your passions and exercise them in that way. So
That's so cool to hear. So I do have a few more questions
yes,
before I
absolutely.
let you go.
Of course.
So when we look at volunteerism and how it's changed from pre-pandemic to post-pandemic, what do you hope to see as volunteerism shifts and our culture shifts? What are your hopes for the future of volunteerism?
Well, I guess the one good thing about the pandemic is that it did prompt everybody to be creative and be adaptable and find different unique ways to do things. So I think that innovation aspect is the part that I'm most excited about when it comes to the future of volunteering, and just finding creative solutions to problems. And I think we've seen in the last couple of years advocacy campaigns really gain momentum, and I think the world in general is becoming more aware of the power that volunteers have and those voices coming together to bring about change. So I'm really excited to see more of that.
So let's say I'm an organizer and I happen to have a crew of volunteers and I'm looking for a way to celebrate them this volunteer week. Do you have any ideas or any suggestions, or are there ways for me to reach out and connect to CSC to make this possible?
Absolutely. So we are working really hard to help organizations recognize these people who deserve so much of our gratitude. So we have a ton of things that we can help with. One thing, we are putting together a digital toolkit that organizations or communities can go on our website, download, and it's going to have a list of activities and ways that they can engage with us through social media, and there's an opportunity for them to nominate volunteer champions, and we can highlight them through our social media channels and give them the kudos and gratitude that they deserve. And as well, we are putting together an application process for celebration grants.
Okay.
So communities and organizations can also apply for those on our website, and those funds can go towards helping support volunteer recognition, events and activities in your community or at your organization.
So we're able to find access to the grant applications on the website, I assume?
Yes.
Okay.
And the website is communitysector.nl.ca, and you can find all of the information there, as well as links to our social media accounts, and you can reach out to me directly through that website as well.
Perfect. And for our viewers watching who are sitting there being like, I don't know, maybe I'm not sure if I'm the right person to be a volunteer, what would you like them to know?
I would like them to know that the opportunities for volunteering and getting involved are really endless. There are tons of ways to get involved, and like I said, we can definitely help with that. If you're interested in getting engaged, we can definitely help point you in the right direction. And volunteering really is for everybody, young, old. If you're a busy person, there are ways to get involved that involve a smaller amount of commitment, all the way up to a bigger commitment. Our nonprofit and volunteer community sector organizations all require help with their board governance. So there really are endless opportunities and ways to get involved.
So I know CSC runs a couple programs that are volunteer focused. Do you mind highlighting those a little bit for me?
Yes, absolutely. So one of those is called the Go-Getters, which is an initiative specifically for youth getting involved in volunteering. And all of those young people complete 2,000 hours of community volunteer service in their community. So they're giving back in such a huge way and impacting their communities in a variety of different ways. And the people involved in that program really get the chance to explore their passions, which, like we talked about earlier, is the best way to get involved and do the things that you love and support those causes that you really care about.
It's really cool to see that there are things there for like every age group and everyone, regardless of where they seem to find themselves in the province. I know that the events haven't been highlighted yet as to what's going to be going on not this week, but during Volunteer Week. But if I wanted to know where to find that information, what would be the best areas for me to look?
Definitely check our website. We're going to be putting together a calendar so that no matter where you are in the province, you can find out what's happening near you. Which will be amazing. And check our social media channels as well, because we'll be constantly updating as we have new information about all the wonderful things that will be happening in April.
Awesome. I know you and I were talking earlier, and you were saying that if people are volunteering, that they should tag you and if they're posting photos? Yes,
absolutely. By all means, if you're celebrating your volunteers and recognizing them, we would love to know about it, and we would love the opportunity to be able to share that on our social media channels so we can just spread the word about volunteering in general and how it brings us all together, and thanking those people who really deserve our thanks.
I want to thank you so much for joining me and sharing what CSC is up to, the importance of volunteering, and why Volunteer Week matters to you.
Thank you so much for having me today, and I really look forward to seeing, I know Newfoundland is a place where people are passionate about giving back. So I'm excited to see what we as a province can do to give back to these people who have given us so much.
Oh, that touches me right here. So I'm really glad to end it off with that. And we'll be right back, everybody. Welcome back, everyone. I'm now joined by Steph and Andie, who are part of Mom's Girls. I'm so glad to have you guys. So can you let our viewers know a little bit about what Mom's Girls is and how it came to be? And I'm going to start with you, Andie.
We're a sketch comedy troupe. We perform in St. John's, all over Newfoundland. We came together, I'd say 4 years ago?
Yeah, 4 or 5.
4 or 5 years ago. And Steph and Liz were in a theater program together, and they just had in their heads like they wanted to start a sketch comedy group with women and gender non-conforming people. And I was one of the 4 they reached out to, and I thank my lucky stars every day. I'm really, really glad. I was doing stand-up comedy at the time and writing. And I was really surprised to be asked, because I don't have theater experience and was really like self-conscious, and I just wanted to impress them so badly. And I think what makes our group special is that it's really, really collaborative. It's a really like excellent place for people to put ideas forward. No one gets shot down. Things get tried. Everyone has a really wild sense of humor, really unpredictable wordplay, and we get really hyper together.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, if one of us is upset, we'll do a lap around the room, and then it'll just be doing laps, and it's really fun. Yeah, it gets crazy.
Yeah. And so, Steph, how did you and Liz decide to put together?
Yeah, we were in a sketch group and still are involved with called Half Handsome, and we did a show called Almost Famous. Okay. We were in the second one together, and that was their first like real jump into sketch comedy. And I just like remember being in Almost Famous 3 the next year, just being like, I would love to have a group of women do this, because when you think about comedy, roles that are typically written for women by men are, you're the girl next door, or you're the crazy woman, which, now listen, I love playing that role, but we just wanted to like create a group that like was people who understood what it's like being, a minority in that community that often pushes us aside and kind of puts us in the background. Like we love working with Half Handsome, but we just wanted our own kind of space. So we created Mom's Girls, and we asked, so it's myself and Elizabeth Hicks, and we asked Alison Kelly, who is a
tour de force.
Yeah, like does everything. Like an actor. They're at National Theatre School now for directing. Amazing performer. And Elizabeth mentioned Andie, and I had no idea who you were. I knew of Alison through watching them perform and stuff, but I didn't know about Andie. And I have to say, on the topic of you being a stand-up and stuff and being like, no theater experience, I think that it has lended very well to us as a group because we have 3 people who are really different and approach comedy differently. But for some reason, it works really well. And like, what I love is like, no one's writing is necessarily theirs. Like, it's so collaborative. So like, I wrote a sketch about a parody of the Monster Mash song. Ooh. Which is just crazy, but and we changed it for Toronto Sketch Fest to make it like a bit more funny and like a bit more punchy. And like Andie took it and like wrote some jokes in, and it flows. Even though our writing is different, we are able to like connect as a group and really allow things to happen. And the ideas are like, we always say that like when we're pitching ideas, we like sit down with like a glass of wine and we're just like, it's like a hangout, and then comedy comes from that because then it's coming from a natural, silly place, so we can really relate to it.
Yeah, like I remember in the spring, we all brought ideas to the table, and one of the ideas I had was like, what if a new type of guy just dropped at the store, and someone's trying to get someone out of bed, and is like, come on now, we gotta go, new type of guy just dropped, and then Steph's adding. And she's like, he's not like the other guy. He wears scarves instead of hats.
Yeah. And it's just like this silly phrase that we say. It's like, oh, a new type of guy just dropped. And it's like, that's just something that's like that we say. But then we're like, okay, let's expand it.
Yeah.
Let's just invite people in on the inside joke. And usually when we trust ourselves to like inject because sometimes in comedy you really got to be like, is this an inside joke that no one's gonna get?
Okay. Yeah.
And that's hard to really distinguish. But we were able to like be like, okay, no, I think this is an idea that everyone can understand, and we were just able to expand on it, which I think it's the funnest Mom's Girl sketches are the ones that kind of are like based on like, we have a sketch, Mommy's Reading it's called, but it's about the book If You Give a Mouse a Cookie. Fan favorite.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely love that book. But we were doing a writer's retreat. White Rooster had funded us to go out to Dildo and stay in an Airbnb and have a week full of writing. And the first night we were there, we went into a bedroom and the book was there. And I was like, oh my God, Elizabeth, I want you to read to me like a mother. And then I was like, that's a funny sketch. And that book is so good about it because the mouse is just so needy.
Yes.
But then he starts sweeping the floor and you're like, wait a second.
Yeah.
This mouse got something going on.
And the next day, Al went and wrote the whole sketch based on that book. And that's like the kind of thing we do. We're like, okay, let's write a sketch about this, and then we go do it. It's just really, really collaborative. I don't think there's any one sketch where I'm like, oh, that's my sketch. Because I write maybe the base, and then you might add, and then Al might add, and then Liz might add. And then at the end of it, you're like, well, it's really everyone's sketch at this point. Yeah.
So this all comes very naturally for all of you. Was comedy something that you guys growing up said, this is my jam, this is my thing, I want to do this?
I mean, I was always a funny kid. I was definitely making people laugh in class and saying funny things and getting in trouble for being just kind of odd like that. So I was always a funny kid. I was always addicted to making people laugh for sure. I got really into stand-up when I was doing my master's in Halifax because there was a big stand-up community, and it was just like, I kind of got really attached to going and staring and watching. And then I was kind of like, wow, I'm just fully creeping all these people. I'm going and watching them 3 times a week. I think it's time to do it. And, always preferred comedies over horror. That was always like a genre I liked. And I think that's true of all of us. I mean, I just think in our own lives, all of us were always funny. I mean, you would have been a weird kid. No offense.
Now you heard that. Everyone heard that.
I will take it as a compliment because you are now a comedian.
Yes.
Right.
Well, and you're right.
You were wicked.
Because the way that I think about my trauma, well, that's kind of what it is.
Yeah.
I grew up in a single parent home. My mom was amazing, and my brother and I only had my mom. And I found a lot of my comedy through my brother because he was so funny and he was just so real. And like I remember being at the dinner table and he'd be like saying stuff and I would be cracking up, like choking on my food. I'd be like, oh my God, I want to be this funny. And then when I grew up, I realized that the way that I had adapted, and like I grew up with Buddy, what's his name? The barbecue, which is like a 13-minute sketch that used to come on the radio, changed my life. I was like, this is hilarious. Like this is what I want to do. But I never really like knew that I could be a comedian until I started acting and I started doing comedic roles. And I felt way better after shows that I did that were comedic. And I was like, maybe there is something in here that I could do. Yeah. And I wasn't really attracted to stand-up because I loved doing theater. I did theater my whole life. But like sketch is like, once I found that, once I got asked to audition for this Almost Famous show, and it like changed my life because I was like, oh, this is exactly what I need. And like with Mom's Girls, we do parody songs, we write original songs, we dance. Like
you guys dance.
We dance.
I'm
and
a half second
Andie
off.
moves.
I move.
Yeah. But that's funny, and like in comedy, that works. Yeah. And like there's just so much freedom about it that like you can say what's on your mind and you can say what's bothering you, and then like hearing people laugh at that, you're like, okay, that's healing.
Yeah.
So it's nice to.
Yeah, it's the best feeling in the world. And I don't do stand-up anymore because for me, it's a solo sport and this is a team sport, and I really prefer to be on a team. Like it's much funner for me to do the team sport. Yeah.
So I'm having so much fun with you guys, but I don't have much time, so I'm gonna. There are a few things I really want to know before I have to let you guys get back to your very busy schedules. So you guys recently just finished a festival in Toronto.
Yeah.
What was it like to get invited to that?
I think it was really important to us. We had been involved in the festival previously, but only virtually because of COVID. So we were really hoping to get in, and we got that email. We were so excited. And we had the top selling show, and then we were asked to host this brunch fest event and like go around and mingle with people. And I got to sit on a comedy road trip panel. And it just is like really, it feels good to me because Newfoundland and Labrador is so based in comedy. Like we have such a beautiful history of comedy. And that's kind of ties in with like the trauma and what you go through day to day, where it's like, this is how we overcome our challenges, is we're funny and we have these characters. So it's really nice to be able to bring Newfoundland to Toronto and then also get to show people in Toronto who we are. Yeah. And it's just very fun, yeah.
So for our viewers watching who might be women, might be gender diverse individuals, or might just be aspiring comedians, what do you want them to know if you had to leave them with, each of you, a piece of advice for each of them?
You go first.
Oh, I think it's really easy for it to start feeling like there's only so much pie to go around. You might start feeling jealous of other people getting opportunities or other people getting gigs. And I think that can be a trap I've fallen into so many times. And I think that's really limiting. And so I would tell people that there's lots of pie. And if you keep working, you're gonna get pie. And the best you can do is like be really happy other people got pie. I've said pie a lot now.
and now we're gonna have to go get pie.
It's time for pie.
Time for pie. Yeah, I think that's so true. And I would say, like, don't be afraid to reach out to people in the community that you know are safe. Like the whole reason that we wanted to create this, and the whole reason we're so vocal about feminism, and like not even just feminism, but like inclusion in the community, and that's everyone. It doesn't matter what how you express yourself, what your gender is. Like there is room for everyone in comedy. It's universal. So if you are starting and you don't know where to go, you can obviously contact Mom's Girls, but there's a ton of amazing stand-ups in the community. And if not, just like reach out online and be like, hey, I'm looking to get involved. Can someone talk to me about it? And I would also say, trust your gut, because there's so many times that I'm like, this is not funny, this is not funny, this is not funny. And it's funny, someone will find it funny. And it's just like putting yourself out there, not being afraid to say what you want to say and how you want to say it in comedy, and just allowing people to edit your work and be like, okay, well, I like this, but like go here, like allow the change. Don't be so strict with it. But I think if anyone wants to be a comedian, do it. You have the passion.
It's
do
really
it.
fun.
It's
Yeah.
so fun.
I want to thank you guys for sitting with me and laughing with me, and I know I'm going to be laughing more when the camera stops
Oh,
rolling.
100%. Oh, 100%.
But thank you for taking the time out of your schedules and sharing your experiences with not just me, but our viewers as well.
Thank you.
And we'll be right back, everyone. I want to give a very special thank you to my guests for joining me today. Thank you, Steph, for sharing so much about volunteerism and what Community Sector Council is doing to promote Volunteer Week this year. And thank you to Steph and Andie for making me laugh, and I hope you laugh too. If you're looking to find out more about what Mom's Girls are up to, feel free to check them out on social media. And don't forget to share about Volunteer Week as it comes up. Thank you so much, and we'll see you guys soon.
Hi, I'm Justice. And I'm Nia. And we believe dreams fuel revolutions. That's why we're engaging with Canadian icons and the causes they support. Join us for these inspiring conversations and find out how you can be revolutionary.
If you have a comment about this program, we'd love to hear it. Email or call us or send us your feedback through social media.
Today, I helped a senior find transportation to an important medical appointment.
Today, I helped a new mom find virtual programming